Today we're going to be doing a showcase overview of HIMEKO, which is a 5-star fire unit here in Honkai Star Rail. But before we move on, guys, I'd appreciate it if you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like the video, and share this around. Now, she is under the category of the eidolon, guys, which is trying to do as much damage as she can to all the enemies on the battlefield. Now, her skills really synergize really well with your other teammates as well, so let's go over it. Okay, and to first start off with HIMEKO's E ability, which is the one that costs 1 skill point. She's going to do damage to a single enemy, and she's also going to do damage to the adjacent enemies. Now, I wish this ability did hit more people, but it kind of balances out because it goes hand in hand with her passive. And what her talent does, guys, is basically like a passive, is that whenever an enemy is broken by either HIMEKO or her allies, she will gain 1 stack of charge. Now, when she does reach 3 stacks, she will go ahead and send out a robot that does fire damage to everyone on the battlefield. Now, this ability does hit every single person. Now, this can happen on her turn, or this can happen on her allies' turn after they attack, which is good. As long as you have those 3 stacks, you will get it. But remember, you do have to apply that break first for her to be able to get that charge. And another way she does get her charge is at the beginning of the battle, she will get 1 charge. Now, if you guys look down here on HIMEKO's portrait, you guys can see that she has already 1 stack here, and that's from the battle beginning. She will get 1 automatically, and then she will also just need 2 more to get that. Now, in order to get that, guys, remember, you do want to break them, and we do have 2 targets here that are weak to fire, so we will be able to break 2 targets. And when we do break those 2 targets, she will get her 3 stacks of charges, and then she'll go ahead and launch out that robot that does AoE damage. And if you guys didn't know how to break a unit, it's basically their white bar here up top, and if you go ahead and deplete that, you will go ahead and do some bonus damage as well. So this is very important for her HIMEKO, is to be able to break, so you can go ahead and constantly be able to proc this ability. Now, let's go ahead and show you guys her E ability so you guys can see exactly how that looks. And let's do it in ×1. Bop, bop. Boom. And she broke the 2 enemies, and now she's gonna send out her robot that does damage to everyone. Now, this is a friend unit that I'm using, right? It's the level 40 HIMEKO, but this will definitely hit a lot harder once you get to the end game and you gear her up properly with the proper light cone and stuff. So yeah. Now, like I did mention earlier, guys, is her E ability. I would have liked this ability to be able to hit everyone so she can have as much break potential as possible, but it might be just a little too broken if it was like that, right? So I guess they had to do it this way in order to balance it out in some form or fashion. And then we're gonna go over her basic ability, guys, which is her Q. You don't need a skill point for this, and she's just gonna do a single target fire damaging ability, and that's about all it does. Now, this ability does get enhanced a little bit more when you do upgrade some traces, but we'll go over that in a little bit after I show you guys her ultimate. And now for her ultimate, guys, this is pretty juicy here, especially since there's a lot of enemies here. She's supposed to deal a lot of AoE damage, but the reason why she's so good is because she's going to be able to deal with these swarms of enemies very quickly, because she's going to be able to keep proccing her ultimate over and over again. And it's very important for you to be able to do enough damage for you to take them out so you can be able to get energy, because that's what her ultimate does. Now, for every enemy you do take out, she will get 10 energy, and which is really key for you to be able to use your ultimate. So right now there's 4 enemies on the field, she will get 40 energy. And in order for her to be able to use her ultimate, you're gonna need to fill this up to 120 energy. So that's really good because it helps her be able to use her ultimate that much more, and to just keep proccing her ultimate and keep dealing with these swarms of enemies. So let's go ahead and use this, guys. And also, another quick thing to note is that when you do use your ultimate, guys, is that if they are weak to fire and you break them, this will count as stacks as well. So after she does her ultimate, she still can proc her talent ability here. So check this out. Here we go on ×1 speed, so you guys can enjoy all of the glorious beautiful animation. And boom, there's the damage. We broke some enemies, 2 other people stayed up, and we're gonna go ahead and do some extra damage, and there you guys have it. Now, as you guys saw, we did take out 2 enemies, and we did get 20 energy for that, and look at her energy meter get filled up pretty nicely. Now, if we did take these 2 guys out, it would have been up even more. Again, guys, this is very nice. It quickly helps her get her ultimate, so you can go ahead and keep spamming that ultimate and just keep doing that AoE damage. But yeah, guys, that's what makes HIMEKO such a AoE beast, is that she's gonna just basically be using her ultimate, taking out enemies, and also proccing her AoE talents that just basically clear out the field. Another good thing is that you will also be able to use her stacks, not only through her getting breaks, but her allies, which is good because right here we're gonna get a break with Natasha, and you'll see that that will count as a stack charge. And you're not just relying on her just breaking the enemy, so because that would only limit you to bringing her into fights that enemies are only weak to fire, but that opens you up to bringing her in all types of comps and stuff. So she's definitely a very versatile AoE damage dealing unit. And now for HIMEKO's traces, guys, as you guys know, the ones in the middle here are basically to boost up your skills that you already have and your talents and stuff and your ultimate. But there's 3 main abilities that you guys can get and unlock that help your character out a lot more. Now, as I mentioned earlier, on this main ability called Starfire, to sum this up, is basically she on her basic attacks now she can apply a burn, and her burns do a little bit 30% more damage. Now, so that's really good. It just helps her to put out more damage, but again, it's just a single target burn. And then for her second bonus ability is called the Standard, and when HIMEKO's HP is at 80% of max HP or higher, she gets crit rate increased by 15%, which is great for all your damage dealers. And then we have Magma, and for this bonus ability is she's gonna do 20% more damage on her skill if the enemies are burned. Now this ability, since she only has a single target burn, maybe later on in the future she'll be really good in a mono fire team that applies a lot of burns, because this will help her do even more damage. So that's going to be very, very nice to have. But she can still apply that on her own, but it's just a little bit more tricky since it's only a single target burn that she's going to be applying at a time. And then for her Eidolons, guys, which is basically like constellations in Genshin Impact, or when you pull a duplicate of this character and you feed it into it, you will get these bonus abilities or bonus upgrades to your talents. So for her first Eidolon, I'm going to refer to as E1. It's called My Childhood. And after she uses her talent, which is the AoE robot, HIMEKO speed increases by 20% for 2 turns, which is great. We love speed increases, especially on our DPSs, which gives her more turns, more energy, more potential to just keep clearing out enemies and just keep spamming ultimate. On her E2, it's called Convergence. She's going to deal 15% more damage to enemies with HP lower than 50% of their HP. Now, this is really good because when you're going to use your ultimate, it's going to give it a 15% more boost, which is going to ensure you a little bit more to be able to take out those enemies, so you can go ahead and get that extra energy boost. As you guys saw earlier, when we used our ultimate, we kept 2 enemies alive, and we just needed a little bit more. And sometimes this extra damage can help you take those enemies out, so you can basically guarantee yourself or have a higher likelihood of giving yourself more energy. Now her E3 is just basically a stat boost. And then her E4 is called Dedication, and when her skill breaks an enemy's weakness, HIMEKO gains 1 additional stack, which is good. So every time breaks an enemy now, she will get 2 stacks instead of 1, which is great because it'll help her proc her passive even more. Now her E5 is going to be stat boost increase as well, and her E6 is called Trailblaze. And what this does is HIMEKO's ultimate hits 2 more times, with each additional hit dealing damage equal to 40% of her ultimate damage to a random enemy. So it's going to be an extra 2 hits that does 40% more damage to enemies, which is going to again try to ensure that you go ahead and take out those enemies, so you guys can guarantee yourself that energy, which is very key to her kit. And then for her light cone, you guys can actually purchase this in the shop in the Starlight Exchange. And the way you get this is by exchanging the Undying Starlight. And the way you get this is by summoning duplicates of characters that you already own. So you will be able to get this over time. And if they keep this from the beta onto the release of the game, you will just go ahead and be able to buy this with 600 Undying Starlight. And you can legit get her light cone, which is basically like her weapon. Now her light cone is called Night on the Milky Way. And this is her specific light cone that helps her out a lot. And it's called Meteor Swarm. And for every enemy on the field, increases the wearer's attack by 8% up to 5 times, which is a great damage multiplier, which means the more enemies, the more damage she's going to do, which is what she wants to do anyways, right? You want to bring her in those fights that has a lot of enemies so she can go ahead and take them out. And then when an enemy is inflicted with a weakness break, which is basically revolved around her kit already, is the wearer's damage increases by 24% for 1 turn. So it just boosts up her damage even more, which is amazing. And it's just more damage. Who doesn't like more damage on their damage dealer? But I do like the ability that you will be able to get her light cone through the store. You will definitely be able to get this over time as long as you save and spend it properly. Now, Himeko is a great area of effect damage dealer that hits all the enemies on the field. That helps her be able to just spam her ult every time she takes them out. It is appreciated to her though if you do take out those enemies, so you can go ahead and get that extra energy, so you can go ahead and keep spamming that. And the more spamming you do, the more enemies you hit, the more enemies you have a chance of breaking as well, which procs her passive, which does even more damage. Now, her downside is that she is not the best single target damage dealer, but other than that, she does really well in every other fight. So yeah, she's gonna be doing great damage, and she's also gonna be applying burn with her break and on her skill 1 for those single target fights that are long and drawn out, which will help her out a little bit more. But yeah, Himeko, a very solid fire AoE damage dealer. And yeah, let me know what you guys think on the comments down below of Himeko, and I will see you guys in the next one. It's your boy Jada. I'm out. Peace.